Welcome to the Let's Talk with Paula show, where we talk about interesting topics. We talk about anything. We're going to bring back some singers and dancers, but today we have a book writer, okay? Because we've had book writers on the show before. And in conversation with her, I found out that she had written a book. She's the co-author of a book. So, ta-da! We just talk about bringing book writers back, right? She has a lot of interesting things that she's talking, and because this is the time of the year where students are getting ready to decide on what they want to be in life, that are going to college for the first time, and some of them haven't declared a major, and they just starting out. So I said that I'd do this every year. I was gonna start off with like professionals that could kind of give them some ideas on what their profession is, and whether or not they liked it or what they had to go through. So she's my first with the book, and she's also first when she tells you who she is and what she does, and you'll understand why she's here with us tonight. But I do want to give a shout out to Sergeant Jonathan Kirby, because he is her friend, and he was the one that introduced her to me. We were supposed to have her on here for something else, so she's going to be back, okay? But we have her on here today to talk about this topic. And the next time we have her talk about that other topic.
Yes.
Okay. All right, because we were talking about that topic, right? But we wanted to make sure that you got everything cleared before,
Yes.
we talked about it, because we didn't want to mess up anything.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. So introduce yourself.
Yes.
Okay.
So hello, my name is Ngozi Baker, and I am a registered nurse. I work for the federal government. I've been a registered nurse now for over 20 years.
You're not that old, don't you?
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so which is good, because you started out when you were young.
Yes, I did.
Yes.
I went straight from high school to college. I went to North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University.
Okay.
That is where I graduated from with my Bachelor's of Science in Nursing degree.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yes.
Congratulations to you. Long
Thank
time
you.
ago and
Yes.
today, right?
I'm class of 2004.
So now the question becomes, you also do some other things. So tell us about some of the other things that you do, because then I want to get into this topic,
Sure.
the other topic.
Sure. So I also have a Master's of Arts in Christian Counseling and Discipleship, which I received from Capital Bible Seminary. That's here locally. Now it's a part of Lancaster Bible College. And then I worked as a registered nurse during the entire time. I went to school part-time for that, and then eventually met my husband, got married, eventually had a child, and so forth. And the book is actually about that experience that I went through with infertility at the time.
Okay.
Yes.
We had another young lady, we started crying together, okay, that was on the show, and that was the first time in a long time that I had just boo-hooed, and the girl was boo-hooing, and we were talking about miscarriages and infertility and stuff like that. And we were just sharing experiences, and sometimes you think that you've gotten over things that you really haven't. Okay, but today I'm prepared, because when I saw what you did, I thought, I'm prepared. It kind of took me off guard when we started talking about her book, right? Yeah, so you do a lot of things. You do counseling and discipleship as well.
Yeah, so it's lay counseling. Like I refer people a lot of times to other Christian counselors if they're looking for someone who does it professionally. But as far as with lay, I can do so on my own, or even working with different religious organizations.
I do the same thing. In fact, I'm counseling two people now. One of them is long distance, and the other one is here in the area. But I used to be a pastor of a church, yeah. So then COVID came. So we give more information than we do, because I have another, we're going to do that show as well, Jeremiah I Am Church, Interdenominational Missionary Church. We give them more information than we do preaching, because there are other preachers that come on the channel. And I find that a lot of people don't get information, so we try to give everybody information. A lot of times, a lot of seniors they watch television, but sometimes they're not understanding what's really going on. So we try to make sure we give everybody information that they need, and that's what we do here. So the book that you wrote a book, you co-authored a book, and
I did.
And it's about the resilience and rising stories of miscarriages, infant loss, infertility, and finding joy after the pain, right?
Yes. So I am one of 7 authors. We're all Black women, and we discuss our experiences with, as you said, miscarriages, infant loss, infertility, and finding joy after that pain. And so my story channels after going through infertility for several years, and through that process I end up going through IVF to have my son.
Okay.
And so it was
Tell people what that is.
Oh, sorry. In vitro fertilization is what IVF stands for. And so I talk about my experience, how at times it felt very lonely, even though I was married. I did go to counseling during that time. I talked to my family and friends, but by that time I also had already lost my mother. So I only had my dad left and then my stepmom. And I have a host of aunts and, you know, loved ones, women who definitely guide me along the way, but there's nothing like having your mom. And so after going through so many losses during that period of time, it made me feel very lonely, isolated, especially when you become so hopeful. You know, you finally get up enough nerve to actually go through with the process, and then it doesn't exactly work out how you expected it to. And so over the course of the years, it wasn't something that was immediate. It took years in order for me to find my joy again, find that spark, that zest for life, even though I had a little person who was, you know, depending on me. So yes, it was a very challenging experience to go through. One of the visionary authors, my friend Courtney Shorter, she actually invited me on with the project. And I met a lot of the ladies through her, but one person I brought along was one of my friends from high school, one of my best friends, and her name is Terica. And so all of us share our stories. They're different, but the one thing that's in common is that we talk about what the Black maternal health care crisis looked like for us. And so this crisis has been going on for many years. My son is now 8 years old. And so it happened even, you know, before then. I know for me, I really didn't want to be a statistic. You know, I felt like I worked so hard in order to get to the point of having my son. I wanted to be here to see him. And I remember the night before I had a C-section, essentially the doctors had said, you know, hey, we don't want to take any more chances. I had a really good OB and obstetric gynecologist doctor, and she essentially said, hey, the baby's not growing. My son stopped growing at 34 weeks. And so we kept him in for another 3 weeks. He was born at 37 weeks, but he was only 4 pounds and 3 ounces. And he also had to stay in the NICU. And so, you know, you never know what life is going to hand you, but you want to feel like you're connected to people. And even what I say sometimes, like Jesus with skin on, like I wanted to feel God's presence in my life. And so I had to tap into different modalities in order to get there. It wasn't a one size fits all approach at all.
And that's the way it is with most things in life. When there's tragedy, disappointment, you know, and even though you have, like you said, you have people that are around you, sometimes you can't have that conversation with them. Or they're not feeling that conversation. Or they think that, oh, come off your pity party, you know, that kind of thing. And that's not what you're looking for, you know. And not you, but people that go through it. And so, you know, I find that at that point in time that people need to reach out to Jesus, you know, because he's your friend.
Yes.
And he's not going to discourage you. He's going to try to comfort you. And even though he's a spiritual being, you still feel his presence.
Yes.
You know. And I try to make sure that people understand that, you know, that's who you have to lean on, because people, no matter how much they love you or who they are, sometimes they're the very ones that hurt you.
Yeah, that
And-
disappoint you.
Yeah, and I don't think that is all the time deliberate. You know, I think that they do it unknowingly, you know, and not knowing really how you feel. They've never experienced it.
Yes.
That's the difference.
Yes.
If they have experienced it before, then they know exactly what you're going through.
Yes.
And they can give you some comfort or give you some conversation or tell you how I felt with them, you know. But if they never experienced it, you have some people out here that never wanted children.
Yes.
So it's not a big deal, you know, for them. You're lost, or whomever's lost that it is. And that's what I find so disappointing is that, you know, because you chose not to have children, you know, that was your choice. And nobody's condemning you for that because that's a choice you made.
Absolutely.
You probably made it early on in life that you never wanted to have children. But those of us who do, and we have, there's a different story
Yes.
to be told. You know?
Yes.
And so that was nice that the book is called again.
The book is called Resilience Rising.
Okay. And how many authors are in that book?
There's 7 of us on the 7 authors. So you have Dr. Chantel Chambliss, Courtney Shorter, and Ngozi Baker, myself. You have Dr. Danisha Davis, Michelle Miner, Tiffany Thompson, and Terica Williams.
Okay. And each one of them has their own story.
Their own story, yes.
Yeah, and they can purchase that from where?
Yes, so this copy of it can be purchased directly through me. You can get it from Ngozi Baker LLC.com, and so that's N as in Nancy, G as in go, O, Z as in zebra, I as in igloo, Baker like a cake baker, BAKER, LLC, so lemoncharlie.com.
Okay.
And each book is $23.
Oh, can't talk price.
Sorry.
We can't. I know I didn't tell you that. 'Cause
Yes.
I forgot we can't talk price.
Okay.
Okay. For reasons,
Okay.
you know, because it's a public access channel, and so we
Oh.
can't sell.
Gotcha.
Okay. You can talk about it,
Yes.
but you can't
Got
sell
it.
it.
Got
Okay.
it.
So yeah, so but it's good that they know where they can reach out and get it, and
Yes.
we can do that. Okay. Price, we don't talk money.
Understood.
Because it's public access. Okay.
Understood.
And I didn't tell you, so please forgive her. Forgive me, please. Okay. But I think that resources like that are very important for people. And sometimes I'm just making a suggestion to people. There are other people out there write books too about losses, whether it's your mother, your brother, your son, your children. And there are authors that are out there that, and just like these 7 people got together, that you can go out there and read their story. And it's probably is going to give you some comfort and let you know that you're not alone. You know, that a loss is a loss no matter who it is or how it is or when it comes. So I'm glad that you're here to share today that experience and your book so that they can reach out and get in contact with you and, you know, read the experiences that those 6 other women had, you know. Then they're going to find out that you're not so different. Okay, you think that you're the only one that has lost, you know, but you find out in conversation that you're really not that different. You know, all of us experience the same thing.
Yes.
So the other thing is that because this is, so I'm trying to get people interested in a field because you have men and women in the field that you're in. And what made you make the decision that that was what you wanted to do?
So being a registered nurse, I feel like was a calling upon my life. My younger brother, he had sickle cell anemia. So I'm 5 years older. That's all I really remember is him being sick a lot and being in the hospital. And so at a very young age, I decided I did want to be a nurse. And most people in my family followed the trajectory of going to Howard University. That's where my parents went and met a lot of my aunts and uncles. However, I decided to follow a different path. My older cousin, she also went to North Carolina A&T and she became a nurse. She graduated from there, nursing school. And so for me, I followed that path, and that was very special to me. And I would say, particularly working with the population that I do, that simply came from me having a grandfather who had fought in the Korean War. And so that population is very important to me. I do honor them as our heroes, and I wanted to give back in order to serve them for the time that they served us.
And that's an endearment to my heart as well. My father fought in the Korean War as well.
Wow.
I have relatives that fought in the Vietnam War. I have female family members that are in the military, as well as males in the military. We used to have a show that used to be called the Veterans Forum on, so we would just discuss certain things at the time that were of interest, and we still do. But it was a group of veterans that we had that would come on. So we still bring individuals back so that they can discuss what's going on in Congress with them.
Okay.
So they can stay informed.
Yes.
And we find so many of our veterans that have so many problems with getting a rating.
Yes.
They don't want to give them 100%.
Yes.
And they have to go through stages or know a good attorney that's going to make it so that they can get the rating that they need.
Yes.
And that's what I think is so horrible, because they have served their life for us.
Yes.
And sometimes they're not treated very kindly.
Yes.
And depending on which war it was, they really were treated bad sometimes.
Yes. Especially Vietnam. So a lot of people didn't agree and understand what was going on. A lot of people didn't have choices, and so that's what I try to always enlighten people with, that every veteran or you come in contact with, they didn't necessarily have the choice to go and sign up. Some people were drafted, other people had to do it for their family to be able to take care of themselves, or if they had other dependents. And so it's an honor to be able to give back to them in ways that we can. And sometimes it can be just as simple as, you see someone, ask them, are they okay? Do they need anything? Is there something way that you can help them? You never know who knows who, and you can very well be a connector to help link some pieces for people together. And like you said, a lot of times it does come down to the rating that they had at the time of their discharge and what that looks like for them when it comes to their health care. And so sometimes people think that someone's trying to get over, and they're not really understanding that no, they put their life on the line, and oftentimes things that they experienced while they were in the military wasn't necessarily recognized by the military, and that's all that they're simply trying to get, is what is just and due to them.
And they don't really understand. If you've never been there, you really don't understand. And it's really, really, really sad that some of the people that work over at Veterans Hospital, you got a lot of good people over there, so don't misunderstand. That have never served as a veteran, that don't understand.
No, it's just a job for them.
Yeah, it's just a job. And then that's why we try to connect them with people that we know that's going to get in results, and they're going to, and most of them, I'm going to say 99.9% that we have sent over there, their ratings got changed to 100%.
Awesome.
In fact, Sergeant Kirby was one of them that was having a problem, and he was connected with one of the attorneys that was on the show, and and he now has, I think he has 100%.
Awesome.
So we try to do as much as we can, or tell people as much as we can, on how to connect with other people, no matter what it is. But I do want people, because these young folks don't have any direction. And so that's why every year, or a short period of time, I try to, when school starts and I know they're getting ready to go to college, that I try to have professionals to come on like you. How long, say it one more time, how long you been in?
I've been a nurse for it's going to be 21 years on the 7th of next month.
Okay.
Yeah.
So congratulations.
Thank
to
you.
And so you can see that it's a worthwhile, a heartfelt, a feeling position that you have, that it has longevity.
It does.
Okay. And that familiar, that sense of giving back and helping somebody is long lasting.
Yes.
And so, what did you have to do to make the transition from high school to make that decision to go to a school that you can become an RN? What was it? Because you were young at the time.
I went to college at 17. And so for me, what I would say is I was one of those young people who had my whole life mapped out before I even really got started in college. I went to school for the 4 years and I obtained my nursing degree. Afterwards, I had to study for our national board.
Right.
So that was a feat in and of itself. It's not just about graduating. You have to pass the board in order to be a registered nurse. And then that's when I started applying for jobs. And I took the job initially at the VA. And so I've been there throughout my entire career.
It's a good place. It's a good learning experience because it's a teaching school. And that's when I was going through, I've done so many different things, but as an X-ray technician ultrasound, that's where I went. They sent me over to VA to work in their X-ray department. And that's when I realized how valuable the Veterans Hospital really is to people, you know. I mean, it was other places that I went to too, but out of all of them, Veterans was the one that really made sure that you learned everything that you needed to know with compassion to your fellow mankind, you know. I remember that every time that I had to go do a X-ray, this man up on the floor that they would send me up on, when they would send me up on the 3rd floor, when you get off the elevator, the man, I was young at the time, I would just hear him say, help, help, I'm sinking fast, I'm sinking fast, and I didn't know what that meant, right? And finally I asked somebody downstairs, how come every time when I go upstairs, this man is yelling like nobody's paying attention, nobody's going in the room? They said, oh, because I know exactly who you're talking about. Well, he felt like he was dying, and that's why he says, I'm sinking fast, and thinking that somebody would come and help him, you know. But that was the first time I'd ever experienced that. And I didn't know what the terminology was, you know, and I was concerned.
Of course.
I didn't see anybody moving. Nobody doing anything, you know. And so he was right by the elevator, so when he knew when the elevator opened, that somebody was going to get off and was going to pay attention, you know. So one time, the nurse actually walked me down to the room. She said, let me show you how this man is okay. So she walked me down, you know, to his room, and she introduced me to him and everything. And she said, how are you doing today? And he says, oh, I'm sinking fast. She said, no, you're not.
No, you're not.
Okay, you're not sinking fast. You scared this poor young lady to death. Okay, so how are you really feeling? And he saw the smile on my face when she said that, and he smiled back. He said, no, I'm not sinking fast. He said, I'm just tired of being in the hospital.
And that's understandable, no matter what hospital you're in.
That's right. I'm just tired of being in the hospital, you know. And sometimes you just need some attention.
Yes.
I understood then.
Yes,
right?
yes.
But so the journey that you went through in becoming a nurse really isn't as hard if you have your heart in it as some people think.
Yes. I would actually even say, I know a lot of people have asked me through the years, they're going off to college or they're just thinking about career transition. Some people think about nursing and they're just looking at the money. And I always tell people, you can't do nursing for the money because you're never going to be paid enough, you know, in order to make your heart feel good that this is something. You have to have your heart in it. You can do it for the money, of course, you know, but if you have to have a heart for humanity and people in order to really do it effectively. That's what I think.
And no, that's not what you think. That's the truth.
That's what I know.
Okay, that's the truth. You have to. It's a profession that you have to have compassion. You have to feel for and want to help somebody else. You just can't. Any of those medical professions that you're in, not just nursing, med techs, X-ray tech. It doesn't matter. You know, nurses, doctors, Indian chiefs. You have to have a feel. A priest. You know, pastors, you actually have to have a feel for people and mankind. Yes. You know, but you can do it, and you're a living witness that you can do it, and you can do it for longevity, and still have that fulfillment that you have, and not take anything away from your family.
Yes, absolutely. done many things in nursing. For example, I initially started off as working as a medical surgical oncology nurse. So there was a period of time where I used to even give patients, oncology medication. Eventually, then I got into weight loss management, and I was a weight loss management nurse for 15 years. And then I transitioned into being a now work in pain management. And so I do pain coordination with the patients who participate in the programs we offer.
And so what the bottom line is that there are many fields that you can go into in nursing, okay? So don't just think that you're just going to be a nurse. There's different things that you can do. So look it up, investigate it, and don't waste 4 years. Make them count, and take it. If you're a person that's loving and kind, and you care about your fellow mankind, that's the profession that you want to go into. Nursing, any of the medical professions, because you have to have that heart. Or religion. You have to have that heart. So I'm so glad that you came. And one more time before we run, we got a minute.
Okay.
Tell them the name of your book again.
Sure. The name of my book is Resilience Rising. Again, it's stories of miscarriage, infant loss, infertility, and finding joy after pain. It can be purchased at www.Ngozi Baker LLC. Ngozi spelled Ngozi Baker LLC.com.
And let's say good night. And
Good
I thank you.
night.
Give them a wave. And thank you from Let's Talk with Paula for being here with us today.
Thank
I really
you.
appreciate you sharing.